What is the most valuable proven success method ever? You may wonder and ask yourself what the most valuable proven success method ever is. And in this video, this is what I want to share with you. And I'm also going to give you a couple of examples and ways in which you can successfully apply this method in your life, because definitely it has some ups and downs as you apply it, but I'm going to tell you how you can get through them from also some of the experience that I've had. And this greatest proven success method ever was first stated by a guy known as Thomas Huxley, the great English scientist. And basically, he said that you make yourself do the thing that you should do when you ought to do it, whether you like it or not. And this has been stated in very many different ways. Some people have read different iterations and versions of it, and some people have come up with versions of it themselves as they lived life and tried to figure out what was that thing that led to success most times in a guaranteed way. And one of those iterations of this success method that I like is was stated by a guy called Hamza, the YouTuber. And basically his version says that you do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. He says, do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. And that captures something in me when he says, especially when you don't feel like it. It tells me that he recognized, as he was trying to do maybe certain good habits or certain things that he knew were right for him, he recognized that that is when the thoughts of procrastination and I can do this later and all these other excuses start to creep in. When you don't feel like it, that is especially when you need to do it instead. Because that is when you'll give yourself excuses. That is when you will choose to delay it. That is when you choose to procrastinate. And the definition of procrastination is choosing to do later what you can do now. Or better yet said, what you know you should do now. And another person that made or said a good iteration of this is the entrepreneur Alex Hormozi. And he tweeted and said, if you want 2025, or for that matter, any year, to be the best year of your life, just do what you said you were gonna do before it became inconvenient. Like, how does that sound? We always start off the year with all these plans, all these big goals and aspirations, a lot of them realistic. For those of us who have lived long enough, you don't set goals that are even unachievable. They are achievable. You know the continuous actionable steps that you need to take in order to get where you want to. You even write them down, right? You have a plan, but when rubber hits the road, you don't pull through. And at the end of the year, you did not accomplish the things you said you were going to accomplish, and you wonder why. And it boils down to this simple thing. Make yourself do the thing that you should do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is as simple as that. And when I think about this concept, it reminds me of one word, and that word is grit. And grit is a passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. And it has been suggested by very many researchers that grit is a better predictor of success than even IQ. And whether this is true or not is not the point here. The point is that this is one thing that has been found to make a lot of people successful, and it is being compared to even having a high IQ. That means it is something that you can implement in your life, and it will take you far ahead. It will increase the probability and the odds that you will succeed at whatever you are trying to do. Why would you not incorporate that? So I think that if you accept this as a way of life, beginning right now, your entire life will become a succession of rewarding accomplishments. And of course, this being growth place, I'm not just going to leave it at that. I'm going to give you some of my experience. And one thing that I've realized is that if all it took was information, we would all be millionaires with six packs, right? I may come here and tell you, to have grit and how you need to do exactly what you need to do when it ought to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And you will realize that this is the right thing to do, yeah? But when the time to do that actually comes, you act different. You still procrastinate. You still choose to do the bad habit. You still don't do the thing that you know is good for you, yeah? And I know this because it has happened to me a whole bunch of times. Not only do I know what I need to do, but I can see myself trying to avoid it. but still, it was hard to compel myself not to procrastinate. And what I have found helpful to actually help me do the right thing in such a moment is to understand that we do not act on information, we act on emotion. And most lifestyle habits are driven by impulse and emotion. It takes a lot of work to either fight those impulses and emotions or to retrain them to do the things that are healthy for us. When it comes to lifestyle choices, so many of them resort to the path of least resistance. And this is exactly what you need to avoid. And the way that you avoid it is by recognizing it in yourself and realizing that, yes, you know the right thing to do, but your emotions are swaying you to choose the path of least resistance. And the reason we are like this, by the way, you will hear me mention a lot of this in most of my content. The reason we are like this is because we are hardwired that way from our caveman days, from our ancestors. In those days, food wasn't as abundant as it is nowadays. After the industrial era and after we learned modern methods of agriculture, food is abundant, calories are abundant. But back then, everything that you would do would have to cater for use of the least amount of calories that you could possibly use. And therefore, the paths of least resistance, the way to do something without like a lot of effort and energy would be the right way, so that you can conserve as much energy as you can. But it's a different world now. As a matter of fact, I would state that in the modern world, the hard thing to do is usually the right thing to do. Yeah. So you need to recognize this pattern that is hardwired in you, these emotions that are going to tell you to choose the easy way out. You can do it later. No, you're not supposed to do it later. You know you're supposed to do it now. Recognize that in yourself and tell yourself that I will do the right thing. Not the thing that feels good, not strategizing on a better plan. No. Tell yourself, I will do the right thing, not what feels good. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe.